Hello guys, so in this video I will actually not be playing a game of chess, but I will be teaching you a couple of really interesting traps in Caro-Kann defense. So I learned these traps long ago, probably like 6, 7 years ago, and have had a lot of success with these concepts here against Caro-Kann defense, so I hope it will benefit you as well. So it starts out with e4, you go make your first move, e4. The opponent goes e6, so that's like Caro-Kann defense. You follow up with knight f3, just developing your kingside knight, a really standard move. The main move here is d5. That's what they're going to play just to claim their share in the center. You're going to defend your pawn on e4 using your knight on c3. So knight c3 defends pawn on e4. Here they actually have a choice. They can actually push their pawn to d4 or they can just capture. If they really push the pawn to d4 to try and kick your knight away, this is not going to be ideal for them because you're just going to drop your knight back. Then both of the knights will be attacking the pawn on d4. They can try to defend it with c5, but then you just go c3 trying to again attack their pawns in the center. So if, for example, they keep pushing their pawns, you can just go knight f4, hitting the pawn again. And if they try to keep defending, their little pawn chain in the center, queen a4 just kind of gets the game over right in the opening. So you just grab this pawn will be lost as well. There are three attackers on it. You're just going to grab it with the bishop castle. You have nice piece activity, you're two pawns up, so simply winning position. So most certainly they're not really going to push the pawn to d4, rather they're just going to take the pawn on e4. So you just recapture back with the knight, and then there are two most common moves in this position. One is bishop to f5, and the other is knight to f6. So let's actually start with knight f6. What if they go knight f6, just trying to develop their knight to a nice square, trying to develop their king side, attacking your knight on e4 simultaneously. So here I recommend the move queen e2, just really defending your knight and really setting a little trap, not a little trap, but really a big trap. If Because I've seen a lot of opponents falling into it, and my opponents have been going knight to d7, knight b to d7 here, just trying to defend their knight on f6. So they kind of think that, okay, we don't want the formation of pawns to be ruined in front of the king, so just develop their knight so that in case we just take their knight, they can actually take back with the knight on d7. So that's a huge blunder, and the key idea here is just simply knight to d6, and this is checkmate already on move 6 because the king has no squares to go. This pawn cannot capture the knight because it is pinned by the queen. So this is already game over. So I have had a lot of checkmates like this in Caro-Kann defense. So the other idea is if, for example, they for example, take, you just recapture, they go bishop f5 instead of knight f6. In that case, what I recommend is just going knight to g3, hitting the bishop. So they are going to just drop the bishop back to g6. And then you just go h4 straight away, trying to chase this bishop further away. So they're going to go h6, trying to create a vacant square for the bishop so that they can just drop it back in case we go h5. But we don't go h5, we actually go knight to e5, trying to hit the bishop that way. Okay, the key move in this position is queen d6, trying to defend the bishop that way. But again, they have to kind of give up their bishop pair for a knight, and then we just enjoy a comfortable game in that case as well. However, if they just want to keep their bishop like this, then the key move in this position is queen to h5, threatening checkmate on f7 already. So if they're not careful, for example, they go something like e6, you can already play queen takes f7 checkmate because knight is really covering that square, so it's going to be a brutal checkmate. However, if they, for example, block the checkmate and simultaneously attack the queen by playing g6, the key move here is that you just don't move the queen back. You just go bishop c4 because the bishop can do the exactly same job as the queen because if for example they just take the queen, the bishop takes f7 is again checkmate because this square is again controlled by this really nice knight here, and is also defending the bishop, so it's going to be a checkmate as well. And for example, they just after this, you just go bishop c4, and they kind of realize that, okay, we cannot capture the queen because they're getting checkmated on f7 with the bishop. So let's actually play e6, just trying to block this bishop off. In that case, you're going to retreat the queen back to e2. And look at this position. Black has all of his pieces except for this bishop on the eighth rank, and this bishop is really terrible as well. It's just staring at his own pawn, and look at the piece activity for white. We have an ideally placed bishop on c4. These knights are good. We're just going to go d4, unlock this bishop, castle queenside, maybe kingside, and then really get into real, active post real quickly, right? So this is already a good position for white. And let's say, for example, black just tries to develop his pieces, tries to challenge white's knight on e5, really strong knight on e5 by playing knight to d7. Then it's already lost for black because white can just go knight takes f7. So this is another sacrifice. You're sacking the knight, hitting the queen, hitting the rook, and then king has to take the knight, and then f7 pawn was the defender of the e6 pawn, which is now lost. So queen takes on e6 check. It's defended by the bishop. The king has just one square to go. That's g7, and queen to f7 is checkmate. So this is really interesting. I've had a lot of games with these variations, especially in blitz. And Caro players really just don't, study all these traps and become victim to it. So I recommend you guys to try it in your own games and let me know if you just get really good results with it. So, yep, that's it for today. See you guys later. Bye.